Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a good morning to all spectators. Welcome to the 7th International Conference on Advanced Intelligent Maritime Safety and Technology, Ai-Mast2021, hosted by Universiti Malaysia, Terengganu. On behalf of the Committee for Maritime Studies UMT and International Association of E-Navigation and Ocean Economy, ENAV, we thank all participants for your tremendous support in making this conference happen. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic, the organizers shall hold this opening ceremony and conference virtually, and concurrently, this ceremony can be viewed through Webex meeting application, official UMT YouTube channel, and official UMT Facebook account. We wish to acknowledge the presence of all official members from respective organizations with us today, and will request all spectators to stay muted throughout the event. Professor Dr. Mazlan Ghaffar, Vice Chancellor, Universiti Malaysia, Terengganu. Associate Professor Technologist Dr. Muhammad Rosni Othman, Dean, Faculty of Maritime Studies of UMT. Dr. Jagan Jeevan, Chairman of Ai-Mast2021. I wish to extend our and welcome our keynote speakers for today. Professor Dr. Hyundeok Kim from Soochow National University and also President of International Association of E-Navigation and Korean Economy of South Korea. Dato Technologist Radzak Malek, International President, the Charter Institute of Logistics and Transport. Distinguished guests, invited keynotes and plenary speakers of Ai-Mast2021, conference partners, all participants, ladies and gentlemen. Fellow guest, Universiti Malaysia Terengganu has been recently listed in the Times Higher Education World University Ranking. Having marine science and aquatic resources as the new area, UMT possessed the needed facilities and experts in ensuring the students and stakeholders to gain the best education and experiences. To introduce UMT, let us now watch the UMT corporate video prepared by the Office of Corporate Communications, UMT. Ladies and gentlemen, International Conference on Advanced Intelligent Maritime Safety and Technology, Ai-Mast, has been initially started in year 2015. Ai-Mast 2021 this year aims to provide an interactive platform for international academics and industry practitioners to discuss the popular and contemporary issues related to navigation, maritime economics, policy and management, education and training. This year, 2021, Ai-Mast brought together researchers, engineers, practitioners to present the latest innovations and potential future directions concerning all aspects of navigation and maritime economy, where they will share their expert knowledge, experiences, and research results. On behalf of the committee, I would like to welcome the chairman of Ai-Mast 2021, Dr. Jagan Jeevan, to deliver his welcoming speech. Dr. Jagan, please welcome.
Good morning and welcome everyone. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to the 7th International Conference of Advanced Intelligent Maritime Safety Technology Ai-Mast 2021. I sincerely wish to extend my happiest greetings to the Council of Management of Universiti Malaysia Terengganu, UMT. The Honorable Professor Dr. Mazlan bin Abdul Ghaffar, Vice Chancellor, Professor T.S. Dr. Muhammad Zamri bin Ibrahim, Deputy Vice Chancellor of UMT, the Honorable Associate Professor T.S. Dr. Rosni Othman, the Dean, Faculty of Maritime Studies, UMT, the Honorable Professor Hyundeok Kim, President of International Association of E-Navigation and Ocean Economy, South Korea, distinguished guests, participants, and to all committee members of Ai-Mast 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank the International Association of E-Navigation and Ocean Economy for cooperating with Faculty of Maritime Studies of UMT as a host for 2021. The theme for Ai-Mast 2021 is Revitalizing Sustainable Development for Strategic Revolution in Trade, Shipping, Port, and Logistic Industries toward enhancing the universal accessibility. This theme requires a deep appreciation of the importance of change leading to a comprehensive stream of innovative thinking across the field and current needs due to the impact of COVID-19. The proposal sub-themes in this Ai-Mast 2021 are maritime operation, maritime economics, maritime logistics, nautical transportation, and maritime technology. Ai-Mast 2021 is a platform to bring together researchers, engineers, practitioners, and students to present the latest accomplishments, innovations, and potential future directions concerning all aspects of navigation, maritime logistics, and operation, where they will share their knowledge, experience, and research results in this substantial platform. Today, we have 98 presenters from all around the globe, including Malaysia, Sweden, China, Egypt, India, South Korea, Jordan, Nigeria, Philippines, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. The number of participants in this 7th Ai-Mast is the largest ever in the history of Ai-Mast conferences. Well done to everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, we are also grateful for having conference partners such as Terengganu State of Government, the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport Malaysia, Marine Department, Port of Tanjung Pelapas, University of Kuala Lumpur, Shandong Jiantong University, China, University of Korea, and Logistics and Transport Center, Maltrek. Hereby, I'm confident that the cooperation of all participants throughout this Ai-Mast 2021 will gain a lot of knowledge and ideas. There are no limits and barriers for exchanging views in order to work on a holistic and energetic fraction of the mind in the atmosphere of the new norm. I believe UMT and Faculty of Maritime Studies will be known as the key leaders in the maritime field in the region and internationally, and will highlight some skills of researchers, especially in the area of maritime logistics, navigation, and maritime operation. Ladies and gentlemen, for that, I would like to thank all organizing committee of Ai-Mast 2021 for making this international conference a success. My deepest appreciation also goes to the management of UMT, all members of the Faculty of Maritime Studies, participants, and presenters. To the conference partner, we are deeply grateful for your commitment in ensuring this program achieve the aim of the event. To the top management of UMT, Mokpo National Maritime University, and International Association of E-Navigation and Ocean Economy South Korea, thank you for supporting our first effort of hosting such a prestigious international conference. To all presenters, I wish you all the best and enjoy the conference. Terima kasih and thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jaganjeevan, for the warm welcoming speech. Ladies and gentlemen, Ai-Mast2021 chose Revitalizing a Sustainable Development for Strategic Revolution in Trade, Shipping, Port and Logistics Industries towards enhancing the universal accessibility as the theme for the 7th Ai-Mast conference. To mark the beginning of this event, I'm honored to welcome Professor Dr. Mazlan Abdul Ghaffar, Vice Chancellor of UMT, to deliver his speech and thereon officiate Ai-Mast 2021. Professor Mazlan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. All right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dan salam sejahtera. Very good morning to all of you. The Honorable Professors T.S. Dr. Muhammad Zamri bin Ibrahim, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic and also exercising the function of Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovations. The Honorable Associate Prof. T.S. Dr. Muhammad Rosni Othman, the Dean of the Faculty of Maritime Studies, UMT. Honorable Dr. Jagan Jeevan, Chairman of Ai-Mast 2021 UMT. Distinguished keynote speakers, the Honorable Prof. Hyundeok Kim from Sangchon National University, the President of International Association of E-Navigation and Korean Economy of South Korea, Honorable Dato T.S. Radzak Abdul Malek, International President, the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, the Honorable Mr. Les Timbadia, Head of Information Technology Division, Port of Tanjung Pelepas, the Honorable Datuk Seri Dr. Michael Teo, CEO of PKT Logistic Group Sdn Bhd, distinguished plenary speakers, the Honorable Associate Professor Violeta So, Chalmers University of Technology, the Honorable Prof. Dato Dr. Shahruddin Dato Abdul Hamid, Faculty of Maritime Studies UMT, the Honorable Dr. Anwar Abu Bakar, honorables and distinguished guests among UMT's top management officers and directors, our conference partners, all respected presenters and participants, as well as Ai-Mast 2021 committee. Last but not least, to our most welcome guest today, ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, first and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for His grace and His blessings, and we are able together for this glorious event of the 7th International Conference on Advanced Intelligent Maritime Safety and Technology 2021, or so-called Ai-Mast 2021, organized by the Faculty of Maritime Studies, Universiti Malaysia, Terengganu. I feel very honored of being able to organize this event and the first of Ai-Mast conference in Malaysia. It is our privilege to welcome all the maritime industries, players, and academia to meet and learn from one another, share experiences and expertise, and and most importantly, build strategic partnership. Let me take this opportunity to thank the International Association of E-Navigation and Ocean Economy as our co-organizer, and also our co-partner, including State of Terengganu, Malaysian Marine Department, the CILT Institute of Logistics and Transport Malaysia, Universiti Kuala Lumpur, UniKL, Port of Tanjung Pelepas, Mokpo National University, Korea, Mokpo National Maritime University, Korea, and Shandong Yongtong University, China, for lending their hands for the success of this conference. Truly, Ai-Mast2021 is a product of all our collaborative efforts. I would like also to thank our distinguished keynote speakers for the conference. All of you are renowned leaders in the industries, and we are excited to learn from your vast experience on ways we can elevate and transform maritime industries in Malaysia to be at par with other developed nations. Ladies and gentlemen, this year, Ai-Mast2021 brings you the theme Revitalizing a Sustainable Development for Strategic Revolution in Trade, Shipping, Port, and Logistics Industry toward enhancing the universal accessibilities. As we all know, shipping plays a very important role in international trade. Around 80% of global trade is transported by commercial shipping. This includes currently most needed items such as vital medical supplies and equipment, as well as food, energy, raw materials, and manufactured goods and components. These are essential for addressing people's basic needs and for preserving many jobs in manufacturing, maintaining international trade, and in the end, sustaining global economy. Over the millennia, the shipping industry has changed in many dimensions. There has been technological change and innovation changes in the structure of industry and changes related to the geography of where the service is provided. Today, globally, the maritime industry as a whole is exploring and implementing new technology and the auspices of the trade, port, ship, system, and processes. And allied services are all getting a technological facelift. The industry's effort to digitize are also being aided by startups that are creating technology solutions and technologies like robotics, AI, machine learning, Internet of Things, blockchain, drones, and augmented reality are being harnessed to create a safer, efficient, and more productive environment to carry out export and import trades. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has unprecedentedly disrupted the global economy and world trade, and the maritime industry has no doubt been affected throughout the world. In particular, worldwide merchandise trade flows decreased by 7% in 2020, and port operation has also recorded delays due to MCO restrictions. Data from World Maritime News show a reduction in container entry to major ports in China by more than 20% since January 2020, which caused a sharp reduction in ships dock. The slowdown in production and post-operation in China has led to a reduction in global containers volume to 710 from the regulatory point by 2021. Meanwhile, delays that occurred before the pandemic caused the port of Busan, which is also the most important container port in South Korea, to experience 78% of content capacity and increase above normal level of 70%. In Malaysia, Industrial Development Finance Research reported that this pandemic could result in 0.7% decline in total global port production by 2020. However, the research is optimistic about ability of port to meet the challenge. It seems that Main terminal operator in Port Klang received 63.4% of intra-ASEAN trade, which sees ASEAN playing a major role in pandemic periods. During that period, Malaysian importers alternatively sourced the supply of goods from the production of ASEAN member states such as Vietnam and other immediate neighboring countries. According to Malaysian External Trade Development Corporation report, Trade report, in February 2021, Malaysia large export market showed month-on-month and year-on-year changes of 11.5% and 11.8% respectively, and with total export to China declining about 9.3%. The Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers found that Malaysia trade by sea was also affected due to insufficient supply of manpower at the port terminal hub, resulting in severe congestion in the supply of chain, including transportation of essential goods. Cargo that is not collected at the port begins to fill the space and contribute to congestion, thus reducing new freight fares as well as container capacity. Ladies and gentlemen, those mentioned are a few of the challenges. Revitalizing sustainable development of strategic revolution of trade at this time will not be easy. Here's the role of Ai-Mast2021 participants to discuss best strategies to move forward for the sustainable development of strategic evolution of international trades and maritime-related industries. The sustainability agenda has to be more inclusive, considering the current needs of global health measures. Ai-Mast2021 has listed topics for discussion like maritime economy, maritime logistics, navigation studies, maritime technology, and other maritime-related topics. I believe that through the gathering of the maritime experts from various trust fields, will be able to produce effort to address weaknesses, difficulties, expansion, risks, and further effort to re-innovate the strengths of respective maritime sectors that are relatively depressed and highly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, Universiti Malaysia Terengganu has taken initiative to be a part of maritime industry. Our Faculty of Maritime Study has been entrusted to focus on maritime educational output and competent human resource considering the current need of the industries. The establishment of Malaysian Maritime Logistics and Transport Center, Malek, further supported the faculty's vision, as Malek is dedicated to being a reference and education hub for data collection related to maritime transports. We welcome further collaboration with maritime industries, foreign universities, as well as other maritime-related entities to strengthen maritime educational and research output for the benefit of maritime industry as a whole. Once again, I take this opportunity to express my appreciation to the Faculty of Maritime Studies for doing their best in hosting as well as running the program successfully. Finally, it is my great honor to be here today with you all, and thank you whoever involved in making this event a success. With Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I hereby declare the 7th International Conference on Advanced Intelligent Maritime Safety and Technology 2021, or it's called Ai-Mast2021, officially open. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor, for the officiating speech just now. And to commemorate this ceremony, I am pleased to welcome all participants and spectators to be in the next photo session. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now proceed with the photo session to commemorate the ceremony. For this, once again, I welcome all guests on the line to be in this photo. All guests are requested to turn on their camera for this photo session. Everyone on the line, I welcome everyone to turn on your camera for this photo session, and we shall begin in 10 seconds time. All right, I hope everybody is ready by now, and I shall begin in the count of 3. Please be ready with the biggest smile you have for this Saturday morning, everyone. Okay, and I count in 1, 2, 3, and the committee shall snap the pictures. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for the cooperation. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Ai-Mast2021 shall begin with the prominent keynote speech by 2 exceptional leaders in the field. At this stage, I would like to introduce our first speaker by briefly introducing him. Professor Hyundeok Kim holds a PhD in International Transport and Logistics from Arab Academy for Science and Technology and Maritime Transport in 2003. He joined the Department of Logistics in Soochow National University in 2006, and in 2020 and in 2015 he has been appointed and to be in charge of Advanced Shipping and Port Education Center and Global Logistics Education Center by the government. Professor Dr. Hyundeok Kim owns extensive experiences in shipping management and policy, international transport and logistics, and port development. His academic career in Soochow National University, he worked as a researcher for 2 years in Korean Maritime University, Busan. He takes an active role in supervising researchers, and to date, he has 5 successful PhD questions, 2 from Myanmar, 1 from Egypt, and 2 from Korea, and 12 MBA questions. Currently, he is the Dean, College of Future Convergence, and also the Director of Lifelong Education Center, Soochow University. At the same time, he is also the Vice President of Korea Port Economic Association and President of International Association of E-Navigation and Korean Economy of South Korea. It is a great honor for us to host you in Ai-Mast2021 and to have you here for your keynote address with the title Global Trends of the Shipping and Port Industry and its Implications. The platform is yours, Professor. Thank you. You have it.
in the maritime industry. So importance slide. Next, please. I'll do it. Okay, I'll do it. Just can you change my slide into next slide, please? Hello. Yeah. Okay. First, global drivers such as demographic, technological, and environment drivers will be mentioned. And then digitalization, decarbonization in the maritime industry will be dealt with. Furthermore, alternative trade route and automated and smart port, spatial strategy, and protectionism will be dealt with. And finally, some implications and conclusions will be suggested. Okay, next, please. Let's see in detail. According to Deloitte Global Port Trend 2030, it suggests three drivers: demographic, technological, and environmental driver. For the demographic drivers, population growth, urbanization, and increased inequalities will affect the shipping and port industry in the future. As you know, population will be rising in the future, but decreasing growth rate will be expected. In addition, urban centers will be greatly growing and will result in an increased pressure on space. Finally, increased inequalities will result in increasing political tensions and protectionism. Now, let's see technological drivers. It means increase in innovations in the total value chain and decrease cost of technology. Next page, please. Next page, please. Moving to environmental drivers, among them, global temperature will be a main factor due to greenhouse effect. Global temperature is increasing greatly. So, regulations for reducing the carbon and improving the environmental performance of the maritime sector, such as SDG 14, IMO 2020 regulation will be done. In addition, a global transition to a cleaner and greener maritime sector is to be required. Next page, please. As you know, initial IMO strategy is to reduce CO2 emissions from international shipping by at least by 2030, and then to reduce GHG by at least 50% by 2050 compared to 2008, and to install ballast water treatment systems rather than the first renewal of the International Oil Pollution Prevention Certificate. Okay, next page, please. Now, digitalization in the maritime industry will be mentioned. Other industry in digitalization is much earlier than the shipping industry. Digitalization is the main technological trend as one of the main topics. Digitalization could be explained into three categories: IoT adoption for ship operation, autonomous ships, and artificial intelligence. In case of IoT adoption, it is an entire network of sensors measuring all aspects of operations. That is, optimized maintenance, cargo handling, route planning, savings in fuel cost. For autonomous ship, cruise will be as early as 2025. And finally, artificial intelligence and machine learning will be required to achieve competitive advantage. Okay, moving to next page. Now I'm talking about decarbonization in the shipping and maritime sector. Shipping sector is said to be produce around 2 to 3% of global CO2 emissions. So IMO adopted regulation allowing shipping sector to decarbonize in line with the Paris Agreement. For example, it needs to reduce to CO2 emissions as much as possible. And also, according to IMO regulation, a target to cut the sector's carbon emissions at least half by 2050 compared to 2008 levels was decided finally due to the zero emission policy. By 2050, zero emission ships must be the dominant and the competitive choice by 2030. Next page, please. Let's see some measures, that is, technological measures, operation measures, market-based measures, and management measures in order to decarbonize by freight logistics companies. For the technological measures, it will be change in the fuel quality by using 2-sulfur fuel oil, switch to alternative fuel options, and investment in cleaning equipment. Secondly, operational measures for decarbonizations are speed management, route planning, voyage optimization in order to maximize safety and fuel efficiency. Thirdly, economic mechanisms such as incentives, taxes, green shipping credit are market-based measures. Finally, fleet deployment, berth allocation, scheduling optimizations are considered as management measures. Okay, go to next page. Now let's see alternative trade route. The Southern Sea route, the Northern Sea route and the Transpolar Passage as viable alternatives for maritime freight transport due to the global climate crisis will be available. So next, business opportunities. New business opportunities for natural resources with the Arctic region are happening. For example, let's compare the distance. One existing route and the other alternative trade route, Northern Sea route. Distance from Busan port through Suez Canal to Rotterdam will be about 22,000 kilometers, but when using Northern Sea route, will be approximately 50,000 kilometers. So Northern Sea route is crucial because this route is 7,000 kilometers shorter than Suez Canal route, reduce 10 days of sailing and saving up to 20% of shipping cost. So it can be said that Northern Sea route and the Trans-Polar Passage as viable alternatives for maritime transport will affect the maritime industry due to the global climate crisis. Next, please. Next, great project by China. I know, as you know already, BRI, that is Belt and Road Initiative, will be mentioned. BRI consists of economic belt and 21st century maritime Silk Road. BRI is to improve China's connectivity with the world by constructing a network of railroad, road, airport, and port in Asia, Africa, and even Europe. It covers over 70 countries, accounting for about 65% of the world population. 1/3 of the world GDP as shown in this slide. So some implications, some modifications of current transport patterns might, please go to previous slide. Patterns might drastically change the overall organization of the shipping services in the Mediterranean, increasing competition of transport alternatives, and also promoting the nodes included in the BRI. The Kra Canal project is a canal cutting across Thailand and connecting the Gulf of Thailand to the Andaman Sea. Like several other projects, the Kra Canal project is also part of China Belt and Road Initiative and is being considered as a new gateway to China's 21st century maritime Silk Road. It is 1,200 kilometers shorter than via Malacca Channel. If Kra is built, Thailand Bridge would provide alternative trade route, cutting approximately 650 nautical miles and 2 to 5 days from a journey through the busy Strait of Malacca Channel, maybe saving transport cost, reducing the risk of piracy, and easing pressure on a waterway forecasted to exceed its capacity in the next 10 years. However, Nicaragua Canal was proposed shipping route, as shown in this slide, through Nicaragua to connect the Caribbean Sea with the Pacific Ocean. Look at the proposed shipping route. Total length will be 278 kilometers and accommodate vessels amount to 250,000 deadweight tonnage. If built, much change will be happen in the maritime industry. But I know due to the several reasons, Nicaragua Canal is stopped now. Next page, please. Go to next page, please. Okay, thank you. Let's see evolution of port to mention automated and smart port. Port is evolving through several basic models of operation over the past 2 years, from port on and that is management by hero to port 4.0, that is from many to orchestra. Let's see on by on. Port on means the management by some hero, that is, individual pieces of machinery, such as yard cranes. In this step, workers link such individual process steps and direct yard operation. But Port 2.0 is the management by process, such as a process-oriented approach governing the steps of the processes through a terminal operating system. Operators make most decisions in the central control tower, while Port 3.0 means management by exception, that is, a progression from Port 2.0. Finally, Port 4.0 is to orchestrate physical and information flows inside and outside terminals. Every player, such as terminal operators, trucking companies, even shippers, will be connected to optimizing not only the port, but also its entire ecosystem. And it will be powered by artificial intelligence optimization through advanced analytics. Next page, please. Now, it is the component of port automation. It includes automated equipment control system, and terminal control tower, human-machine interactions, and finally, interactions in the port community. I'll mention just a few. Automated equipment means functions such as ship-to-shore, yard operations, ground transportation, and gate automation. Secondly, terminal control tower is the brain of an automated terminal, such as terminal operating system, decision-making tools, advanced analytics, and the digital platform. Finally, further interactions with the port community, digitalization and real-time connectivity is being important for collaboration among key stakeholders and for interactions with the broader port ecosystem. Next, please. Next page, okay? Okay, good, thank you. Smart port that includes digitalization are changing the future of maritime and the shipping sector. Business activities are constantly changing, and smart technologies such as AI, IoT, big data, blockchain, and 5G are driving port innovation all over the world. First automated container port was developed in Europe in the early 1990s. It is to install equipment to automate at least some of the processes in terminal. Container port becomes more ideal places to automate due to many repetitive activities and amounts of collected and processed data. Many values from automation will be achieved, such as cost savings, higher performance, and safety gains. In the future, the port will be totally automated, even if not completely. Key drivers for smart port will be AI, advanced analytics, dynamic scheduling and pricing, predictable maintenance, self-driving vessels, and blockchain. Next page, please. Smart means being more attractive and innovative in a competitive sense. And also, it means digital port using new technologies. Smart port includes green, digital, and even more connected to logistics. Next, please. Now, let's change the subject. Spatial strategy becomes more and more important. to increase space productivity within a port terminal due to the limited space in the existing urban port. So technological development such as innovation and automation for increasing port efficiency and tackling the space shortage should be applied. Furthermore, protectionism will increase. Relocation of the supply side inside the border and near its own consumption site will be happening. It will result in reshoring and nearshoring of industries. Next page, please. Next, shift toward low-cost, labor-intensive supply chains will be set. Supply chains will shift the low-cost labor country available, resulting in different trade routes. In particular, growing middle class in Asia, higher demand for European products will be more automated, digitalized, and connected supply chains, and less focus on physical infrastructure investment is to be moved in the future. Next page, please. Demand for sustainable performance and technological development will increase. Sustainable performance and technological development are considered as one of the differentiating and value-adding factors in the maritime sector. It shifts from bigger, biggest to greener, greenest to smarter, smartest for sustainable development. ESG measurement, including environment, social responsibility, and governance as a competitive advantage is to be considered. Finally, collaboration will grow between port and carriers due to regulations, pressure on margins, and technological development, resulting in more transparent ecosystem. Next, please. Let's see some implication. First, spatial strategy for increasing the space productivity of a port will be more important in case of the shortage of space in the existing port. Second, protectionism will enable each state, each country to relocate the supply side, resulting in reshoring and nearshoring of industry. That increases the demand for raw materials. So it will be focused more on raw materials and semi-fabricates than on finalized product. Next page. Third, investment in digitalization and automation for upgrading the port supply chains will be increasing, resulting in investment in cyber security for protecting the supply chain. Digitalization and automation of terminals will be happening all over the world in the future. Ports, LNG seems to be most promising alternative fuel, being expected to show growing uptake. 5. Ports are becoming from bigger, biggest to greener, greenest to smartest. Next, investment in green ecosystem and renewable infrastructure, environmentally sustainable operations will be competitive advantage. Next page. Let's see some more implication. New port will be developed for viable alternative trade routes such as the Northern Sea route and the Transpolar Passage due to the global rise of temperature resulting from the climate crisis. So new trade route may negatively affect Egypt and Singapore, but regions located on the route will get some benefit from the potential port development. Next, BRI can have comprehensive effect on maritime trade, in particular infrastructure in the developing countries. Furthermore, data analytics and data exchange has new competitive advantages for port players. It will be applied more and more, and the smart port and sustainability as competitive advantages will be more and more important. Next, please. Collaboration between carriers, even port players, and the collaboration at port will be increasing, resulting in more transparent ecosystem. Finally, new ways of collaboration will be established by supply chain optimization and increased transparency. Next, please. So finally, it is a conclusion. Key factors such as automation and the digitalization of port and shipping, decarbonization and smart port, and finally, cooperation between all relevant stakeholders, enhancing efficiency and sustainability was reviewed. In particular, digitalization, that is, digital transformation, is a key factor in enabling the post-COVID recovery, strengthening the resilience of the global supply chains. So it is very important to see how could main trend of future port and shipping industry affect the trade route, competitive position, ecosystem, sustainable development, and cargo handling. And how could digitalization make shipping and port more resilient, efficient, and greener and smarter? And finally, what step will be next for digitalization in the future, shipping and port? So that's all. Thank you very much for listening to me and careful attention. Thank you. شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your fruitful speech and insight about the current global trends of shipping and port. I am sure many participants is closely engaged with your keynote speech just now, Professor. Thank you very much again, Professor. So, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to our second prominent figure. Dato Technologist Abdul Radzak Abdul Malek. Is an honor for me to introduce you to our participants today. Allow me to read your biography, Dato. Dato Technologist Abdul Radzak Abdul Malek is a long-serving member of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, CILT, and a prominent figure in the logistics and transport industry, especially in KTMB, with a duration of combined experience of almost 50 years, locally and globally. In 2004, he has been appointed as the Chartered Fellow for the Institute of Logistics and Transport. With his vast skills and experience, he has been appointed as the Managing Director of Kereta Api Tanah Melayu Berhad, KTMB, or Malayan Railways Limited, which is the main rail operator in Peninsular Malaysia. Among of his contributions and linkages initiated were for APEC SOM meetings, formation of Asia Pacific Coalition Service that took place in year 2015 in Cebu, Philippines, and he served for Maritime mission in year 2015 at Mauritius and Kenya. Year 2018, Dato Technologist Abdul Radzak has been granted the Professional Technologist title for his knowledge in transportation and logistics. Currently, he served and dedicated his commitment as the International President of Chartered Institute of Transport, President of Malaysia Services Providers Confederations, and many more. Dato, it is a great honor for us to host you today, Dato. And Dato, the platform is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Thank you for the good, acknowledgement on my past. I'm humble with that. Professor Dr. Mazlan Abdul Ghaffar, Vice Chancellor of Universiti Malaysia Terengganu. Professor T.S. Dr. Zamri Ibrahim, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic and International. and as well as Research and Innovation. Associate Professor T.S. Dr. Rosni Osman, FCILT, Dean of Faculty Maritime Studies and Director of Maltrack. Dr. Jagan Jivan, Chairman of the Organizing Committee, the 7th International Conference on Advanced Intelligent Maritime Safety and Technology 2021, Ai-Mast2021, and his excellent team, Professor Hyundeok Kim, President of International Navigation and Ocean Economy South Korea, as the first keynote speaker this morning, professors, lecturers, students, invited guests, partners, honorable speakers, and distinguished conference participants, local and foreign. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all. I'm glad to see happy faces on the screen, though physically we are unable to meet. Slide 2, please. Oh, I'm sorry, I would like the technician to put, yeah. Okay, next, please. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for enabling me as International President of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport to talk to you about the key issues of sustainability in the transport and logistics sector. I'll be talking globally and nationally, and will bring you insight from around the world and locally from Malaysia. We look at the green agenda from helicopter view and then focus on rail and shipping as two critical sectors. And I'm trying to close the wide gap between both sectors, and also for reducing carbon and using smart techniques to go green. And we will finish on some big picture changes that are needed, and the role of CILT as a chartered professional body in shaping those changes. Next. As a leading transport and logistic professional body, we have many members across the world dedicated to sustainability. Next, please. Before I launch into the detail of the sustainability challenges, I just want to spend a couple of minutes explaining to CILT is and their important role within the rail and wider transport sector. CILT is the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport and was founded in 1919 in the UK. As a chartered body, it is able to award professional qualifications and designations on individual members. CILT started to provide the competency in logistics and transport professional, and 102 years of promoting and encourage the art and science in logistics and transport through professional qualification, and still stay relevant. Currently, we have more than 35,000 active professionals involved in our institute, including a healthy number of students who will be the industry leaders of the future. We operate in over 40 countries and cover a broad spectrum of technical areas covering logistics, transport, and supply chain management. For your information, Professor Hyundeok Kim, we have CILT South Korea at the moment.
Thank you very much for your news.
In some of these countries, we actively influence policy and have dedicated technical groups focused on sustainability and the environment, rail, maritime, and key transport and logistics discipline. Therefore, we are passionate about the continued professionalization of the sector and making sure that we continually upskill, reskill, and introduce new entrants to this vital professional area. And that includes understanding sustainability and how it is an integral part of our thinking and approach to supply chain and transport issues. Next slide, please. So let's set the green scene at the strategic level, and we'll be touching on this aspect in the next section of my talk. All these ingredients are critical for building modern sustainable transport system. The global picture, policy influence and voice, organizational responsibility, zero carbon transport networks, smart data system, sustainable transport choices. Next. Now CILT is often the go-to organization for a policy voice on carbon matters in countries across the world. In the UK, CILT has been busy providing key evidence and thought partnering covering the road to net zero and also impacting on rural communities. Next, please. Ensure that the solutions we advocate as a profession don't dwell within just the environmental arena, but we also consider social impacts and the economic consequences of transport investment and supply chain decision. Next, please. However, it's also critical that we keep the UN Sustainable Development Goals at the forefront of our mind. Next slide, please. CILT has carried out detailed research looking at the progress towards selected UNSD goals in countries where we operate as a professional body. Let us run through the slides. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is about the employment and unemployment picture on our research. Next slide, please. This is about poverty and logistic performance picture. And next slide, please. And this is the well-being picture. This is arising from our CILT research in 2021. And this is about bringing out the key points on well-being, economy, and logistic index. Next slide, please. Corporate social responsibility impact are critical to delivery of the UN goals. And this example from DHL clearly shows the balance and clear approach to sustainability within the organization and the way it delivers its services globally. Next slide, please. First and last mile planning is also a key way of managing carbon and reducing pressure in congested cities. The DFT Quiet Deliveries Guidance form, the UK clearly advocated smart use of the shoulders of the day when roads are less busy, linking this to use of consolidation centers and other low carbon modes for transport freight for the last mile. Next, please. Forward planning is vital, and land use and urban development policies must address the sustainability question head-on. Use of the Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan tool is critical here, and this is an example from Philippines, where the SUMP, S-U-M-P, or equivalent to Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan model focuses on creative freight strategies, education, and matching the solution to local culture and behaviors. Next slide, please. There is a critical relationship between digitalization, smart thinking, and being progressive on sustainability. Many digitalization programs will lead to reduced carbon output, energy efficiency, and more informed decision making. CILT is working hard at forging the links between these two areas. Next, skill development and ensuring we have informed education and competent professionals to address carbon and wider sustainability changes is critical. This is a center stage issue for CILT and many professional bodies involved in transport, supply chain, the built environment, energy, and related sectors. Getting this competence piece correct first time is a critical challenge and needs to be addressed strategically in order to ensure that sustainability solutions are integrated and well thought through. Next. Turning from wider themes to rail now, accessibility and inclusion are critical indicators of successful and sustainable railway. Many of us may think of accessibility to rail as being a physical challenge and the need for disabled or older people to be catered for on the network. But in reality, it is much more than this, and it is vital that we as professionals join up the journey as much as possible for our customers. No longer is access about physical movement, but about access to information online, support from customer service personnel, and also about customers being able to have a voice in the way their railway are run. In the UK, we have the backing of Equality Act 2010, which identifies a wide range of social groups, including race, gender, sexuality, age, and other characteristics that must be considered in rail planning and operations, ensuring that customers can access onward travel, buses, cycling, walking, etc., and their journey are made as easy as possible must be a key mantra for all rail operators wherever they are in the world. Next slide, please. There are number of ways that improve accessibility can be delivered. Some examples include setting out a clear accessibility policy and commitment as a rail operator. This is a requirement for all UK train companies, setting up inclusive consultative group which must also include those with hidden disabilities. Example, customers with a visual impairment, autism, and dyslexia, etc. Introducing comprehensive training to frontline staff and also to those that are managing them. Setting up of community rail partnership which operate at a local level and ensure there is a strong link made between individual communities and stations serving them. This includes collaborative planning, addressing the needs of new development, promotion of rail for leisure and work purposes, community events, and arts activities. Use of station master plan strategies, but plan out the vision for a station and the surrounding area over a 5 to 10 year horizon. The beauty of these techniques is that they can all be adapted and modified to fit local culture and circumstances. Next slide, please. We cannot ignore the global impact of COVID-19 and what this has meant for public transport generally. Although this has impacted on different countries in different ways, there are some common themes that you will all identify with. The top priority has clearly been to ensure customer safety and that passengers can be stationed and trained easily within COVID guidelines. While there has been some fantastic customer practice around the world, social distancing is a key challenge, especially where rail is such a dominant mode of travel within the local economy. It's not all been bad news, and we have seen that rail sector respond extremely resiliently as a result of pressures placed on supply chain and on customers. During the pandemic, express freight services were set up very quickly between Southern Europe and the UK, and passenger timetables were revised in 3 weeks, a process that normally takes 9 months. There are a number of ways that we can rebuild confidence in the use of rail from a passenger perspective. In the UK, we have been looking at flexible season tickets and in particular promotion of domestic leisure travel. Overnight, the UK rail market changed significantly, especially with major reduction in commuter travel. Prediction estimate an overall 80% recovery level in the use of public transport. Leisure use has been a bit of revival, and our new normal very much focuses on day trip, staycations, and social travel. The passenger rail sector has needed to reinvent itself, working with unaware and test the markets to draw people to rail. Next slide, please. Thinking more globally, we have been rail emerged as a strong cross-border trade enabler with new flows being generated across many continents. In addition to China-Europe flows and increased European internal freight services, we have seen new routes emerge. For example, the first block train from Finland to India started earlier this year. If we turn to the experience in China in 2017, the first China to London freight train ran between UWI and East London, but now we are seeing increased flows and demand of east to west freight movement. CILT is working closely with industry partners and logistics specialists, wanting to backfill empty capacities and support UK and European export back to the east. Use of rail is extremely efficient, reduces carbon, is much faster than maritime channels, and also reaches inland destination much more effectively. However, there are still obstacles in the form of border control, track gauge changes, and pinch points on the rail infrastructure network. There is a real opportunity here for maximization of rail capacity and to create more intelligent supply chain and that make full utilization of capacity available. In Malaysia, for example, Tun Mahathir started the idea of Singapore Kunming Rail Link, for instance. And in a small way, I managed to contribute to the effect where in the year 2004, KTMB operated the first land bridge service, a fully containerized train between Port Klang to Bangkok. Beyond that, it is the responsibility of the Thai government, the Cambodian, and the Vietnamese. Next slide, please. Infrastructure challenges still exist wherever you are in the world, as many countries are looking to high-speed rail investment, wholesale electrification, and provision of new lines and stations. The issues of land assembly, construction, timeless, and logistics remain high on the agenda. Ambitious plans in China and France will bring considerable benefit if built within realistic timeframes and providing the city-to-city connectivity needed. At a micro level, however, there are site-specific challenges such as landlocked site for station improvements and interchange provision and local accessibility improvement needed to ensure passengers with mobility needs can access rail. Platform extension and improvement to train, platform interface alongside provision of sustainable transport facilities, including high-quality secure cycle parking, are further examples of infrastructure demands at the local scale. However, it's easy for us to focus on the macro issues and major investment projects, but for the end, passengers, it's often the micro things that make a difference. In developing any solution, we must tackle both the macro and micro project and make sure that they move together in harmony. A key lesson learned from the UK is that early consultation and engagement is vital. When high-speed 2 was first advocated, there was a protracted period of environmental objections and concern driven for a number of reasons. But certainly early engagement and simple, understandable consultation is critical. At the station level, the station as places program advocator in the West Midlands region of the UK is really a good example of how early consultation with local communities made a key difference in the shaping of proposal for the station and the surrounding areas. Next slide, please. Turning to the key issues of digitalization, this has the capability of having a transformative impact on the rail sector. We often think that this transformation is limited to railway operation or understanding how assets are performing. However, the risk goes far beyond this. We can use digital to make sure that we de-risk projects and that we de-risk project and that we plan ahead properly. And ultimately, that customers are kept informed, updated, and are consistently looked after in their journey experience. That journey experience starts at home or in the office when they think about travel right the way through to the end of their whole journey. Digital tools are critical to reaching customers in smart real-time ways, and as our travel needs become more complex, as a society, technology will be vital to forming and maintaining good customer relations. If we turn to some key challenges facing digital transformation, have a think about this. Cybersecurity, how can we be sure that our railway systems are safe and ring-fenced? Smart assets, how can we adopt smart and efficient ways of managing our railway assets? Predictive maintenance, can we use technology to reduce the risk of failures or issues on the network? What about signaling? How can the technology further enhance railway safety? Internet of Things, how can we ensure that IoT devices are resilient enough to deal with the harsh railway environment? And finally, how do we use all these digital initiatives to focus on the passengers? New digital rail technology will also allow trains to run more frequently closer together, increase services and seats, and also cut delays by allowing trains to get moving more rapidly after disruption. The digital age will also vastly improve mobile and Wi-Fi connectivity so passengers can make the most of their travel time. Next slide, please. Ultimately, the success of all the behind-the-scenes digitalization effort will be gauged by the passenger experience. Here is an example at London Euston, which is the first station in the United Kingdom to provide sign language touch screens. Here, sign language interpreters have created a library of standard messaging as part of the screen software, and will also provide passengers with sign information as situations evolve or during periods of unexpected disruption. Next slide, please. Of critical importance are the themes of environment and sustainability. We only need to look at this slide to see the major environmental benefit of rail covering carbon saving, air pollution improvement, safety, and energy. Next slide. Sustainability underpins the whole of the rail sector. At an operational level, rail produces 87% less carbon emissions than the equivalent truck journey plus the time and volume efficiencies generated. From a planning perspective, getting the sustainability credentials right is critical. Environmental and equality assessment are required of all major schemes. Looking beyond the environmental benefits to much wider community and social impact, these assessments are not just for high-speed lines or major corridor improvements, but also for station redesign and other urban planning schemes. Sustainability improvements also extend to train, and here is an example of a new battery-operated low-carbon train in the UK. These trains are now running on 3 regional networks and are recycled from previous rolling stock used on the London Underground. Ladies and gentlemen, please focus on the third picture by Viva Rail, formerly known as Chiltern Railway. The coaches is from the underground, and they use it, they refurbish and put a battery to operate it. So this is what we call sustainability and the use of technology. Then if you look at picture number 1 on the top, this is a full train load of Tesco delivering goods all over the network. Now, the station is often the gateway building into a city. So for that reason, it is important that it give a strong image and sense of place, but that it is also sustainable and its construction and operation. Green technology is now being built into station infrastructure, and we see new energy efficient canopy design giving plenty of natural light, but also developed with self-cleaning material. Finally, the role of communities in shaping rail solution must not be forgotten. Community rail partnerships have been built around lines and stations in the UK, and there are now 70 plus such organizations in the UK. We should start it now in our country, Malaysia. Next slide, please. Our final insight is in the United States, where decisions have recently been made around introduction of high-speed line. A target corridor is the New York City-Boston route on the eastern seaboard, cutting travel time by half over half to under 2 hours. This will give significant carbon saving and offer a real alternative to short-haul flights. The city center to city center rail service will be competitive and efficient, and importantly reduce traffic congestion and pollution for communities along the route. The scheme will also reduce localized road congestion, air quality and access issues of communities close to existing airports and major highways. Next slide, please. Bringing this all together, let's conclude on the issues of skill and competency in rail. This is really the final part of the jigsaw, and in order to keep railways open for business, it's vital that plans are put in place to address loss of staff, mainly through retirement, and to ensure that skill transfer from long-serving railway personnel takes place to the next generation of railway practitioners. In addition to mandatory training requirements for safety critical roles, the railway desperately needs thinkers, strategists, and other professionals to plan, operate, and innovate on the railway. The inclusion and gender balance issue remain a challenge, and the issue of competency frameworks and dedicated training and mentoring scheme are critical to the future adoption and regeneration of rail sector. To give some clear facts, in the UK, for instance, just 16% of the current rail workforce is female, and only 24% of women would consider a career in rail. 28% of workers in the industry are aged 50 or over, but only 26% of 18 to 24-year-olds said they would consider a career in the industry. Next slide. So where does this leave us? The impact of railways goes far beyond the track. You need to participate, not consult. There's a real role for local people and local community to lead passenger revival after COVID. It is not done here, unfortunately, because when you talk about railway, it is always the federal government affair, right? And local community just take what it is. But it is not the same in other countries. They participate, actively. Now, in order to convince people to use rail and to make it attractive, you need to blend together physical, operational, and behavioral measures. Governance has to be sustainable and efficient. You can't make this work without digital technology and commitment to sustainability. And finally, we need to value railway people and to make sure that we continue to innovate and be inclusive in our recruitment practice. Pardon me for being so engrossed and passionate about railways. I spent 37 years of my prime time in KTMB, climbing from the bottom to the top. I'm humble though. Today, we witness the development of East Coast Rail Link, cross the line of Terengganu State from north to south, a history in the making. And my humble request to UMT to be actively participating in this planning and developing this railway. And let's develop it in the green and sustainable way, be it infrastructure or system, facilities, and environments. It's timely for you to do that. Please, CILT International, through CILT Malaysia and Malek at UMT, will be happy to give our professional assistance and advice when needed. Next slide. After much consideration on the rail sector, I would like to turn to the wider supply chain. That is important at this time as so many things have changed because of the pandemic and the very different situation global trade finds itself in. A lot has been said by Professor Hyundeok Kim just now. There is now a huge amount of volatility in the supply chain globally because of the economic impacts of the pandemic on factories, shipping and economies, and trade. Ports are congested, equipment such as containers are unavailable, and costs have soared internationally. This will continue over the next 18 months, I guess, at least as the days of the stable low-cost supply chain globally have gone. Next slide, please. What should we therefore do as supply chain leaders in our job in the industry? There are solutions, but they need us to think differently. We need to factor in risk and build in resilience into our strategic thinking and the design of our supply chain. The days of single sourcing from low-cost manufacturing location will be replaced by multiple sourcing of products and material, often bringing those sources of supply closer to the market. Different alternative modes of supply needed to be considered, and this links back to our discussion earlier on rail as opposed to road or sea. Again, sustainable routes will be important to consider, as well as ways of speeding up the movement of goods by technological solution. Let us think differently and seek new solutions in the changing supply chain. This change is thinking needs to be applied both globally and locally. Next slide, please. Seaport is land facilities designated for reception of personnel or material moved by sea, and that serve as an authorized port of entrance into our departure from the country in which we located. Seaport are important to the trading nation like Malaysia because their economy depends on port efficiency. Therefore, a competent and trained workers are important to port operator. Training new workers is essential. It is costly but necessary. Seaport employers may hire an experienced worker who has worked from another port, but it will cost more in terms of salary. The number of workers qualified are lower, and there is no guarantee that their previous port equipments and working flow are the same with the new port. By providing a proper training and lesson to new trainees, number of workers with the right qualification, added with skill and experience needed, port operator able to provide a better services with the best conditions. Maritime industry, including seaport, provide the basis of growth and development of marine-related activities such as ocean and coastal shipping, port services, offshore oil and gas, inshore and offshore fisheries, marine culture, renewable energy, current wave wind, naval defense, and other marine-related activities that need competent human capital enrollment to manage, explore, and exploit these resources in sustainable manner. Maritime education provides competence, highly skilled, and professional workers, mainly in the shipping, port, and marine-related sectors, even though the maritime industry is dynamically changing the environment, that is facilities, technology, and system. The present maritime educations are a traditional manner with limited capacity of maritime facilities such as ports and ships. Next slide, please. Ladies and gentlemen, the maritime transport sector is the backbone of global trade and global economy. The power and influence of maritime sector underscore its importance to the world economy. It is very important that the education sector associated with the maritime industry fully prepare for the changes that are forecasted to cause disruption across the sector. Traditional ways of teaching and traditional methods will be supplanted by new advanced technology, more access to data, and new ways of working, all by products of the fourth industrial revolution. Therefore, it is important for the port operator trying any method to reduce costs and ensure that trainee got the best experience from the teaching. The best solution for this problem is by using a simulation during training sessions and dedicated seaport training facilities that can be shared among ports. If nations want to become a developed maritime nation, with knowledge-based economy, productivity-driven growth, and enhanced competitiveness, much will depend on how the maritime sector is managed and how the strength of the industry is sustained. Indeed, the maritime sector in Malaysia has a major role to play in enhancing the knowledge-based economy, productivity-driven growth, competitiveness, and resilience. Important aspect that will affect efforts to sustain competitiveness by develop expertise in maritime-related science, technology, and management by strengthening maritime education and labor market. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that the excellence of educational institution is also measured by the qualities of its trainers and the modules offered. Related to this, I'm fully proud to mention that in Malaysia, the CILT Malaysia function as industry-led body in logistics and transport will develop the innovation modules, training framework, and comprehensive training module that to reskill and upskill the workers towards competent human capital in the sector. Related universities that focus on maritime field, such as UUM, USM, UPNM, UNIKL, and Universiti Malaysia Terengganu already collaborated with CLTM as an accredited body in this field. These initiatives are all reciprocated with CILT's vision to be recognized as the first choice professional body for supply chain, logistics, and transport with the motto, Stronger Together. Next slide, please. From my knowledge and research here, are just a priority that I believe we should focus on in Malaysia and globally also, in order to make sure that sustainability agenda is given due attention. Capitalize on digitalization to further green our supply chain and transport network. Focus on efficiency and collection of smart data and intelligence. Be customer focused and prioritization of initiatives and interventions. Encourage integrated door-to-door services for freight and passenger movement. Engage with local communities, including city council and development agencies. Adopt innovative infrastructure solutions working with public and private sector. Boost the use of rail and encourage a step change in use of the mode. Insert a maritime bullet. Adopt a robust mentorship and skill transfer program in the transport and logistic professions. Next slide, please. In closing, let's not forget the value of independent voice and the importance of universities, researchers, and the professional bodies in providing evidence and professional option. Remember that at the CILT, we have already been busy doing this across the world, from CILT UK's route to net zero and CILT North America's webinars on sustainable rail freight. CILT is making its view known on the subject of sustainability. I hope I've given you some real insight to the tools, approaches, and top teams from around the world. As the CILT president, I remain committed to sustainability and professional best practice in this area. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Omaira Khan, FCILT at Royal Holloway, University of London, said, and I quote, "The key characteristic of world-class supply chain are agility, adaptability, and alignment. Effectively managing all three will enable companies to embrace the uncertainty of the new normal, operating environment, and opportunities that are characteristic of the fourth industrial revolution. Don't get trapped in traditional linear thinking and absorbed by current crisis, especially the COVID-19. Do things strategically about the force of disruption and innovation shaping your future. Lest we forget, we operate with inclusivity, caring, and supporting our professional members wherever they are. We have to protect and stand for what we are in CILT as a family and as a profession, and ensure no one or no things threatens that without us responding very strongly. Our strength is in our family, stronger together. Now, for more information about case studies here, please get in touch with John Harris, my Director of Education and CPD at CILT International, and the contact details are on this slide. Next slide, please. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, stay healthy. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dato Technologist Abdul Radzak, for your impactful speech titled "The CILT Approach to the Key Issues of Our Time and Our Profession, Sustainability in Transport and Logistics." Dato, it was very thorough, highlighting on the current issues and very well elucidated solutions and suggestions. I believe many is engaged with your keynote speech and shall benefit from it, Dato. Thank you very much once again, Dato. With
Thank you.
that, this marks the end of Ai-Mast opening ceremony. I wish to once again thank the conference partners, the State Government of Terengganu, Jabatan Laut Malaysia, the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, Mokpo National Maritime Institute, Universiti Kuala Lumpur, Shandong Jiantao University, and Port Tanjung Pelepas. A little notes to conference participants, if I may explain. We will have our parallel session soon after the ceremony ends. Thus, you are required to enter your virtual room for presentations session at 11:45 a.m. And we shall meet again with the first plenary speech by Associate Professor Dr. Violeta Rosso at 2 p.m. Again, we wish to extend our sincerest appreciation for your presence and cooperation throughout the ceremony, as well as our best wishes for the good health and well-being of everyone. With that, thank you. Assalamualaikum, and may Ai-Mast conference begin.